Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. For those of you out there who find yourself having trouble sleeping or just feeling a little bit, like you're just lackluster in energy and always feel like you need to relax, well, you're going to really enjoy what we have to talk about today as we talk about the science of a particular molecule called ESS60. Our guest is a research engineer and scientist whose primary mission is to help all of you out there live longer, healthier, pain-free lives. With a diverse background in the field of inventions and manufacturing, with a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering from University of Houston, he is also a co-inventor of patents related to the use of explosives in downhill oil drilling. So he got involved with a Nobel Prize winning team that took this molecule to a new level that is shown to expand the lifespan of test and subjects by 90%. I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program today our guest, Chris Burst. Chris, thank you for the program.
Hello, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Well, you do what you can when you're trying to get energy and longevity, especially if you know it's going to move you toward a nice, peaceful, restful sleep. How did you guys decide to research this specific molecule? Where does it come from? What's that all about?
Well, so the backstory is I was getting my mechanical engineering degree at the University of Houston, and I met my now business partner, Robert Wong, in a physics class. And I always remember the professor's name of the physics because he seemed destined to be a physics professor. His name was Dr. Weinstein. Anyway, my business partner was working at the Texas Center for Superconductivity, which is a research center on the University of Houston campus, and he was separating fullerenes. It was a newly discovered molecule. It was discovered in 1985 by three professors. Really, they were working out of Rice University, also here in Houston, Texas. And my business partner, Robert, was separating this material for Dr. Paul Chu. And one day, Dr. Paul Chu came into the kind of separation room and was like, hey, you guys are young. This is a really up-and-coming molecule. It actually won the Nobel Prize in 1996. So it was obviously moving in that direction around 1991 when we started the company. Why don't you go, the professor said, why don't you go start this company? And my business partner is from an entrepreneurial background and thought, well, this makes a lot of sense. So he engaged me to help design equipment. We actually engaged the group at Rice University that originally discovered the molecule, and we built the original piece of equipment and have been manufacturing carbon nanomaterials since 1991.
Wow. Sounds like you've all been pretty busy with this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a whirlwind. I know in the beginning I would tell people, hey, they'd ask, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I manufacture carbon nanomaterials. Oh, well, what are those good for? Well, the Buckyball, it's the most abundant carbon nanomaterials, actually good in so many applications. The best way that I like to describe it is it performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So better paint, better ink, better for your tires, better battery cells. It's just an amazing molecule. It just is very expensive to make, and so really hasn't become ubiquitous in our society yet.
Now, when it comes to sleep, it has quite an impact on the body, especially its immune system. That's certainly something that we really don't want to have happen, especially in these very trying times with COVID-19.
Well, yeah, COVID-19 has caused so much stress and so many emotions that really just overwhelm us. And when we're kind of overwhelmed by emotions, that gives us more stress, that lowers our immune system, it raises our cortisol levels. It does all. I think as a society, we believe that we know sleep is good for our mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And so it's incredibly important. You should never miss it. And then as a society, we say, but, if you have something else to do, maybe you should do that. We're the only species on the planet that will forego sleep for no healthful benefit.
Kind of one of those who become a workaholic and I just don't have time to sleep.
Yeah. The phrase, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Well, if you're not getting proper... Right? If you're not getting proper sleep, you're just going to be dead sooner. Like that's how. There's a great book by Dr. Matthew Walker. It's called Why We Sleep. It's the scariest book you'll ever read about sleep, and it just goes through and outlines like how does your mental capacity decrease? How does your cardiovascular health decrease? How does your if you don't get sleep for 2 days and you go do a blood glucose test, you'll show up as a diabetic even though you've only just missed 2 days of sleep. So like it's paramount that we get our sleep. And right now in this times of COVID, we're struggling with these emotions. We're getting in bed and we're worrying about, a lost job, or we can't see loved ones, or we're stuck in our house, or so many different things have changed for us. And that rumination causes us, I call it the horrible emotional sleep spiral. Because we don't sleep well, and then we wake up, and a good night's sleep is so paramount to being able to handle our emotions the next day. Unlike our cell phones have this great mechanism. They tell you how good your signal is. They tell you how good your battery is. But when you wake up in the morning, you don't have those bars to tell you how prepared you are to manage your emotions. And so then you go through that day and probably mismanaging your emotions, and that causes you to make mistakes, emotional mistakes, and then you go to bed that night ruminating more about those mistakes and why did I say this and why am I doing that? And then that's that horrible emotional sleep spiral. So I'm hoping we've got a giveaway for your audience, and I'm hoping to get some tips in to help them kind of break that horrible emotional sleep spiral.
It sounds like you've been involved with a really great team here on, the research on this molecule. It sounds extremely exciting. Now, I can't help but ask, and we brought up COVID-19 and the stress this is causing a lot of people, especially with this mask mandate. And there's so much confusion, and I know the media does this deliberately because all they really care about is news,
Viewership, yeah.
What does your team think? How about you specifically about this whole COVID-19? Do you think we're overkilling this whole thing? What are your thoughts about it? Because I'm looking at this going, how stupid. I believe a lot of people are getting suspicious, and I don't specifically want to turn this show into a big discussion about it, but I would kind of like to see, is there a way we could put people at ease even though it'll be short-lived, because we still have to live with the fact that there's all these restrictions. You look at that governor in California. I mean, everybody's whining about Trump being a dictator, but he's about as big of a dictator as I've seen. I feel sorry for those people in that state. But what are your guys' thoughts about this whole COVID-19 virus?
Well, I think, first off, we've still got, from a scientific perspective, we still have so many unknowns. I think we got to move forward from a perspective of we know what viruses typically do, right? So viruses typically, one of the big concerns right now is actually, if you get COVID, are you immune to getting COVID again, right? And there's this debate, and I just find it fascinating that there's this debate, because always before it was once you've had a virus, you never get the virus again, right? So there are a lot of unknowns. And I think if you just look across the country and how different mayors and governors have treated this, nobody knows exactly what to do because of all these unknowns. I think in hindsight, if we look at this, one, we needed to kind of flatten the curve so that we could get the medical system prepared for everything. I think that was something that we did need to do. And then I think the next step is, you protect those people who are highest at risk. You isolate them to the best degree, and then you move towards herd immunity. I think in general, that's what we're trying to do. I don't understand this kind of mask debate. I personally feel like wearing a mask. I wear a mask not because I think I'm infected, because I'm done a pretty good job of isolating myself and my family, but because I want everybody to be comfortable wearing a mask. Because if you have it and you don't know you have it, this is one of the things I ask people is is it possible that you're transmitting COVID? Because the symptoms are somewhere between nothing and death. Are you in that range? Right? We
Yeah.
all are. And so you might have it. So to put that mask on and keep those droplets reduced, that doesn't stop them, but reduce those droplets from going beyond a 1 foot radius, like that just makes sense. And I understand people want personal freedoms and have to have personal freedoms. I don't think I've heard anybody debate the piece which says your personal freedoms go as far as they can until they start to interfere with my personal freedoms. And I feel like I have the personal freedom to be free from disease and death. And so I feel like in that kind of mask debate, yeah, let's throw in the masks. And we've also got everybody's under so much, that's what we're talking about. People are lacking sleep. They're under so much stress. You're getting, these screaming Karens, right? That's the meme that they're using. These people are just reacting because they're under so much stress. In a totally less stressful time where they were being asked to wear a mask, they wouldn't be screaming at people.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more about all that. I just, you sometimes look at, the news and the information they're putting out there, and people are beginning to feel, we're not seeing people dropping like flies and all that. I mean, come on, let's start lightening up and get back to business because, if they think this thing is causing stress, we've been doing programs now where we talk about the financial side of the reckoning of America, and it doesn't look too pretty coming in the fall, that's for sure. So if you think
and suicides, just suicides, right? There are economists who go out there, and I don't even know how they even begin to measure this, but who say when the economy dips by this much, it increases deaths by this much. I don't even know, again, how they do that, but we do have this kind of fundamental understanding that as we reduce the economy, or as the economy fails on its own, right, whatever this case may be, that it impacts the lives of people. And I'm not sure how much thought went into that and is going into that. I think, I hadn't thought about the collateral damage that happens from having the ICUs full of COVID patients, which is, those ICUs exist and have patients in them prior to COVID. If they're filled with COVID patients, those previous patients who were using those facilities didn't just disappear. There's still car crashes going on. There's still accidents, people getting sick that need ICUs. So there's collateral damage that's happening here as well. And I think you got to, everyone's trying to just do the best they can with as many variables as they can. And you know what? Probably 70% of it's going to be not perfect. Maybe even 95% of it is going to be the not perfect decision. But everybody is, I believe, fundamentally trying to do the best thing.
Well, I certainly agree with you there. At least, like you said, back with the mask real quick, is that we do it really as we're thinking about other people. It seems more than ourselves, which is, that's the American way, definitely. But let's go ahead and get back to this molecule here. What makes this molecule that you've worked with apparently since 1991? So it's been out there for quite a while. Let's talk about the story of this discovery and why this molecule is so significant.
So they discovered it in 1985 at Rice University here in Houston. It won the Nobel Prize in 1996, and the reason it won a Nobel Prize is because they saw that it had such fantastic properties in so many applications. Now, what that means is it's probably going to be used in a lot of places, and anytime we're going to use things in a lot of places, we've got to understand how safe it is to work with the material. So in 2012, they published the results of a toxicity study. So yes, they actually assumed this molecule would be toxic. They published the results, and in that study, they gave rats water, they gave rats olive oil, and then rats olive oil with this ESS60 molecule. Instead of being toxic, those rats that they gave the olive oil with ESS60, really the MyVital C formulation, lived 90% longer than the control group. Now, that may sound like a big number, 90%, because it is. It's the single longest longevity experiment on mammals ever. And potentially even more important, those rats that were given the olive oil with the ESS60, which is, again, the MyVital C formula, all died without tumors as opposed to the control group that was given water. So a typical Worcester rat always dies with tumors, and it dies with a known amount of tumors based on how long it lives. The longer it lives, the more tumor mass it has. Even though our rats lived 90% longer, they all died without tumors. So that was published in 2012. I'm a scientist, so it's peer-reviewed, published research. That's the stuff that really counts. And then you fast forward, really, we had kind of put it on the shelves. We're scientists. I didn't really want to be a supplement guy. I didn't think that was my journey in life. Fast forward to 2017, and a guy with a big YouTube following starts talking about all the benefits that he's getting while taking the product daily. He posts that. The industry goes crazy. It sells out, except for us. We're the largest manufacturer and distributor of ESS60 on the planet. And come into 2018, I had these questions for myself. Am I going to become a supplement guy? The first question is a moral question. Am I comfortable selling it? I take it. My wife takes it. Everybody on my team takes it. I am comfortable selling it. And the next one is legal, FDA, FTC, and you just got to follow their guidelines. Now, you may be wondering, okay, great, we're talking about this amazing molecule. We're talking about, we've got a giveaway that's related to emotions and sleep, and how does this all tie in? Well, the most consistent testimonial about the product is our customers take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night, which is the opposite of any of these kind of prescription drugs where you take them at night, they knock you out, but don't allow you to get your healing REM and REM sleep.
It's quite amazing to think about what there is in front of everybody, and then the possibility of getting something in their hands that helps. Now, what about longevity? How has it been with people?
Well, so it's obviously a little challenging. We kind of had an internal joke, guaranteed to double your life or your money back, right? Obviously, we can't do that. And there's probably never going to be this extended long-term study. Typical human lives into their 80s. If this applies, so if the result in the rats, where the rats live 90% longer, applies to humans, then that gets the average human out to 152, just the average, not the max, the average. So that's pretty phenomenal. It's interesting. I have lots of conversations where I'm sharing this with people, and a lot of people say, well, I don't really want to live longer. And I'm like, okay, I get it now. Like, it took me a while at first because I've always been somebody who wants to live longer. Then I asked them, well, if you had the same mental capacity and the same physical capacity that you do today, would you like to live longer? Now, it's still not everyone. That surprises me. But, 80% of people are like, well, yeah, of course. If I can have the same mental capacity and physical capacity that I have today, then I'm very interested in living longer. And I always kind of joke that in that original study, that peer-reviewed published research, those rats that lived 90%, it wasn't noted in the notes, in the study notes, that they were using little walkers and had to carry little oxygen tanks to get them to that 62-month time frame. Right? These rats lived normal, healthy rat lives until month 62.
Now, you were mentioning supplements, and I wonder if you could maybe share with people some thoughts about the sleep aids that are available out there on the market, and maybe how they should think about deciding whether or not that's a direction they want to go, or maybe you can give us some ideas about what people can do simply that can help them sleep better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm just going to start this with saying my dad passed last year, and I wish that I knew more about sleep aids and prescription sleep aids, because he was on prescription sleep aids. In that book, Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker, it talks about the $2 billion quote-unquote sleep aid industry. And you take these prescription drugs right before you go to sleep, they knock you out. They actually relieve a chemical called adenosine, which is the chemical that causes the pressure to desire sleep. So it releases that adenosine, so you wake up not desiring sleep, but you actually have been knocked out as a sedative, so you don't get the restorative sleep. Now, he talks in his book, of course, about REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, but he also talks about, they're very creative in REM sleep, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and how important those two stages of sleep are for healing your body. So imagine you're taking this sedative, it's knocking you unconscious, you're not doing the healing that sleep is intended to do, and then you're waking up, you're not desiring sleep, so you think you had a refreshing night, but you're actually just building up this lack of restorative sleep night after night. Now, if we want to talk about other supplements, a number of people will take melatonin. You've got to be very careful with melatonin. If you take too much melatonin, it'll make you very groggy in the morning. A lot of people think melatonin helps you sleep. Really, melatonin it's a naturally occurring chemical in our body, and what it does, it's like the starting gun to tell our body it's time to start to prepare to sleep or to start to sleep, right? So it just is the firing gun. It is not the thing that helps us sleep. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, having melatonin in your system is not what's going to help you go back to sleep. A lot of people, as they're going to sleep, their minds are racing and they just wish they could quiet their mind. There is a root called valerian. So the valerian root is a very, I've found it to be a very effective supplement to help me sleep. You want to take that about an hour before you go to sleep. You can go to pretty much any grocery store. There's a sleepy time tea with valerian. It's got a cute little teddy bear in his PJs, and that's a really good supplement for quieting your mind. And then, of course, my product, which is kind of different from all of these, because all of those you need to take right before you go to sleep. Again, mine you take in the morning. Our customers report mental focus and energy during the day, and then you get better sleep that night. So,
well, just having better mental focus, that clear mind rather than the foggy brain that people experience a lot of times is a great benefit all by itself.
Yes.
When you think about all this, first of all, there is a possibility that our listeners right now can get an ebook that helps
Yes.
them neutralize the 7 emotions that are holding you hostage right now, and peace of mind. Tell us about that a little bit, how they can maybe participate in that.
Yeah, so that book, and we'll get the link here in shortly. It's an audio book. It's written by my friend and a guy I work with regularly. His name is Dr. Patrick Wellness, and he sat down and went over these 7 emotions. He's an expert. He's been on literally sometimes we go on shows together, and they have this really long dossier of all of his accomplishments, and then they say, and we have Chris also. So he's very accomplished, and the book is phenomenal, and it just doesn't kind of tell you, oh, here's the emotions you're feeling and here's why they suck. It's like, and here's what you can do about them. So it has actionable things that you can do, exercises that you can do in order to help you deal and handle those emotions. So that's very important. And in fact, I can give that link out right now. It's myvitalc.com/beyond50. And it's important to note when Patrick and I collaborated on this project, we decided to make these audiobooks. There's another meditation file. We'll talk about that in a second. But we decided to make these audiobooks 100% free. You don't have to give an email address. You don't have to give anything. We just want to help as many people as possible deal with the emotions that they're struggling with through this COVID, and then get better sleep, because that's going to make them better emotionally and have better health. Sleep is so important for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, especially as we do get a little bit older.
Yes. Yeah. Well, as we get older, we tend to not need as much sleep. It's not as dramatic as people think, but it's still part of the restorative health process. So people often ask, why do I think that our product helps with sleep? Well, our product is known to be an antioxidant, actually 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's actually an antibacterial and antiviral. So it's got all of these kind of immune system support stuff. It's an amazing, obviously 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. It's an amazing free radical absorber. And so my thought process is that it's doing such a good job of kind of maintaining your body that when you're going to sleep, your body's actually to go, oh, well, it's something that it would normally take care of as part of natural sleep. It's like, well, that's already done, so I can move on to my next task, the next thing that I need to manage.
I like that. What do they call that? Delegating responsibility. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. You step up. Everyone should have a checklist, even we'll call it the sleep manager. And the sleep is like, well, the antioxidants are taken care of already. That's a surprise. And so is some of the inflammation. So let's move on to the next things like emotional healing and other things that your body needs to take care of while it's going to sleep or while it is asleep.
Very good. Now, is there a website people can find out more about all this here, the work, the research, all that?
Absolutely. If they go to myvitalc.com, so that's MYVITALC as in carbon.com, /beyond50, they can get that. There's actually two files they can get. There's a neutralize the 7 emotions that are holding you hostage now, and then there's a guided meditation, overcome fear and anxiety and enjoy peace of mind. It's really an amazing thing to calm down and relax and just slow down your day, maybe even get you prepped to go to sleep because that's really important. Both of those you can get at myvitalc.com /beyond50. There's also 2 links. One of them is to Patrick. He's the one who created those audio books. To his website, that's patrickwellness.com. I highly recommend you go there and sign up for his newsletter. He generates a weekly newsletter with just phenomenal information. And then there's also a link to the MyVitalC homepage. And if anybody's interested in trying MyVitalC, we sell bottles. We actually do a 25% discount for subscriptions. So definitely if you want to try it, go on subscription, take advantage of that discount. You can cancel at any time. And then we made a special coupon for your audience that'll get them $15 off of their first order if they use the coupon code Beyond50.
Very exciting. Well, we thank you for being so generous with our listeners out there. I'm sure they'll be tackling this opportunity almost immediately, we hope.
Yeah. We just want to provide value, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I totally believe in that, too. Chris, thank you for bringing value to the Beyond 50 radio program and sharing this remarkable discovery for people to actually improve their physical well-being as well as getting better sleep. Very exciting stuff. Thank you for being on the program today.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me.
You bet. We want to thank you, the listeners out there. While you're getting ready to go to bed, you can also visit us at beyond50radio.com. That is the number 50. We do encourage you to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter and keep up to date with what's going on in the world of Beyond 50 as well as our upcoming shows. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for joining us. This is the Beyond 50 radio program. And remember, live your day past halfway.